Crest collision. Written for audio by ButterflyCoffee. Lizzie is a light mixed traffic engine. She's not the biggest engine at Newton Abbot, but she's more than capable of handling herself on long trains. She also wasn't an engine who liked to let her emotions get the better of her. Having fought through the Great War meant she was hardened to quite the number of mishaps, and she had hoped that little else would bother her. But the threat of another Great War was a little much to shake. Over the coming weeks, the Great Western engine began to look increasingly haggard and dirty. Other station pilots would say Lizzie's clanking could be heard long before she was ever seen, and more so than usual. Lizzie didn't even bother retaliating.
Lizzie, I'm becoming concerned.
Mr. Turner was speaking to Lizzie one morning after he'd convinced his engine to actually stop. She'd been running around like she was possessed.
Anyone would think she knocked herself to bits like them industrials do,
giggled Apanya.
Sod off!
Lizzie thundered, and Apanya scuttled away. Mr. Turner pinched the bridge of his nose.
Lizzie,
he tried again.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. You look like you haven't had a decent night's sleep in over a fortnight.
Well, sir, if we're going to be honest here, I haven't slept at all. Lizzie gave a few coughs, bringing up soot and ash.
Well, I don't take too kindly to that at all. I've spoken to the railway board, and they've agreed to give you a full overhaul so that you're back in working order.
Lizzie scoffed. Overhaul or not, won't stop this war coming, will it? Mr. Turner stared at his engine for a moment before he spoke. His voice was softer.
Is that what you're worried about, Lizzie? We can't lose hope. Everything will turn out alright in the end.
What good is hope going to do?
Well, it's certainly better than you sulking and looking like you're working yourself to bits. Speaking of which, the board has also decided that you are in need of change. So after your overhaul, they're sending you to Bromsgrove as a banker. One of their ginties is down, apparently.
Bromsgrove? Can't say I've heard that name crop up before.
Of course you haven't, Lizzie. It's on the Midland region.
What? Lizzie was not impressed at all. Sending a Great Western engine to work in the Midland region? Just before the onset of another Great War? The board seemed to have a rather twisted sense of humour. One which Lizzie did not find funny. Her overhaul having gone according to plan, Lizzie was soon sent on her way to Bromsgrove. On the way, she had to stop in a station to let a goods train pass by. "Hello there, Lizzie, old grump," called a voice. The old engine turned and saw Julie with a passenger train. Well, wasn't that nice that someone was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed? Usually it's me sticking my funnel into enemy territory, not you. Julie suddenly lost her smile when Lizzie kept staring daggers at her. "Did I say something?" "You are very bloody lucky there's a platform between us," Lizzie seethed. Okay, what's the matter, your grumpiness?" It was at that moment that the goods train came flying through, drowning out most of Lizzie's response. Julie wasn't quite sure what she'd heard, but she was very certain that the majority of it was foul language. Not what you'd call Great Western behaviour at all. So now I have to go to bloody Bromsgrove, or wherever the hell that is, and... Julie spluttered with laughter. Even some of the passengers gave a chuckle. "Bumsgrove?" she hollered. "That's a first." "I think you mean Bromsgrove, Lizzie. Nice place, but I'd best keep that language away from Big Emma. She'd flatten you without trying, and she's bigger than I am." "Who's Big Emma?" Lizzie never got a response. The guard's whistle was blown and Julie had left. With her path now clear, Lizzie was given the okay to continue, and she too was on her way again. Upon arrival in Bromsgrove, there seemed to be no engines around. Lizzie didn't have much time to get lost in thought as to why, though. Another goods train came in, and the 8F up front blasted his whistle and came to a stop right next to the mogul. He looked Lizzie up and down in near disgust.
You banking then, claptrap?
He asked abruptly. Lizzie was in no mood to backchat. She just glowered at the 8F and went to buff her up behind. As she was slowing to a stop, another huge boom of a whistle made the 43XX nearly jump out her frames. She hadn't heard something that loud for quite a long time. She couldn't see who it was, but if that shadow was anything to go by, this engine was absolutely huge. She certainly felt uneasy as the engine's buffers clunked into hers. Lord Almighty above, she breathed. Then it all seemed to happen at once. There was a long, then short blast from the front, another from the back, and the cavalcade gave a mighty heave forward. Lizzie felt squashed between the last wagon and the banker behind her, but the driver opened the regulator up and the freighter charged forward with the rest of them. The climb was long, hard, and agonizing. It seemed to go on for miles. Lizzie felt short of breath and her blast pipe wheezed. She wished she'd gotten more sleep, and she wished she was a bit younger, but she kept on going. After all, Brunel never gave up when things got a bit tough. She forged on, and at long last, the climb was over. Lizzie watched the brake van pull away and get out of sight. She was panting so hard she wasn't able to hold conversation as she made her way back down with the other banker. She was only able to speak again after taking on water. What the bloody hell was that?
Fairly regular work, I say.
Lizzie was finally able to get a good look at that second banker. Her eyes nearly popped out. This engine was perhaps the biggest she'd ever seen. 10. It had 10 driving wheels, massive inclined cylinders, and an even bigger boiler. How had this thing not broken the loading gauge yet? Everything about this engine screamed huge and powerful, and it looked like it could tear Lizzie a new one any day of the week. The engine itself, on the other hand, looked mildly amused.
You alright?
You're bloody huge! The Goliath engine laughed heartily at the remark. Lizzie swore she felt the earth shake.
Blunt, but true.
The engine smiled after it had calmed down.
I get that a lot when someone first claps eyes on me. I'm Big Bertha. Who are you?
Lizzie coughed a little before giving her own name. Wait a second, she said. If your name is Bertha, then where's Emma?
You're looking at her.
I thought your name was Bertha, not Emma.
It's Bertha and Emma.
What?
What?
You have two names?
I'm allowed.
Be reasonable here.
Says you when you have the name of a Pacific.
You can't have two names. Pick one or the other.
Alton Hall can't have two names. Pick one or the other.
Now hold on a second! A warning bell abruptly sounded, followed by a whistle which heralded the approach of a passenger train. Bertha glanced up and smiled.
I believe I'm up.
She said,
See you soon, Pacific faux pas.
and with a responding screech on her whistle, she puffed away to bank the train. Once again, the cavalcade soon began barking noisily and charging the hill, the passenger train easily longer than the freight that had just passed through. Lizzie was rendered speechless. Lizzie watched as Bertha or Emma or whoever went up and down the line all day, only stopping for coal and water. As it turned out, Lizzie wasn't needed all the time, so after each trip up, then down the gradient, she could have a rest to get her breath back before being called on again. The Great Western engine often found herself unable to keep up. How? She kept panting between her words. How? In the name of God! Can that engine keep going? What kind of power is that?
Real motive power.
A Ginty sidled up alongside Lizzie, watching Bertha as she ascended yet again.
I guess my mate was right. Westerners can't do hills.
Hang on now, just a minute. I can do hills just as well as the next engine. You leave well enough alone, Midlander. The Ginty didn't look threatened.
You call that hill climbing? You're panting and wheezing like an old dog.
You're the dog to insult me like that, how dare you? Lizzie fumed.
Careful, old timer. Don't drop a plug.
Lizzie growled. You certainly haven't been taught any respect, have you? I was running up and down this country with heavy freight long before you were ever thought of. The Ginty smiled.
I dare say that was impressive. Around 30 years ago.
He was going to continue, but squawked when Bertha came back down. The huge engine saw Lizzie fuming and hissed at the Ginty as he hurried away.
They're all ragamuffins, the lot of them.
She chuckled.
You feeling okay?
Lizzie didn't respond immediately. Of course.
Come on, Pacific faux pas. I know when someone's lying.
Bertha chortled. Lizzie grumbled dreadfully, but eventually told Bertha about the new threat of war and the tough work.
That's life on the Licky, I'm afraid.
Said Bertha kindly.
Not much I can do about that. But all this talk of war coming up is bound to upset some. I was told your class actually went to the front lines.
Some of us. Lizzie was very surprised to hear this, and began to feel a little bit more comfortable around the Titan. Indeed, some of us went, including myself. Bertha was amazed. She smiled ruefully after spotting the scar on Lizzie's face.
Then you have my respect. I can't begin to imagine some of the horrors you must have faced. And here, if another war does come around, and if your performances today are anything to go by, I think you'll breeze through it. Why, you'll come out the other side of it looking like a champion.
Lizzie looked up at the huge engine next to her and slowly began to smile. She felt that old Great Western pride flare up in her boiler and billowed steam from her cylinders in an impressive display. You can't keep a good engine down, she conceded at last. I don't do half bad for an old-timer. The bell sounded again. Everyone was up to bank. Not half bad at all, called one Ginty as a pair rushed up.
Yeah, you're all bad.
Both Ginties hollered in laughter at their joke, and even Bertha had to join in. Lizzie groaned to herself, her spirits royally dampened. Dear God, she muttered grimly. This is going to be a very long week.